This is Anglia Television.
The news from ITN.
The Queen remembers the troops in the Gulf and speaks of the threat of war. In her annual Christmas message, the Queen said she was heartened by the world's opposition to Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. She also described the suffering caused by the scourge of terrorism in the United Kingdom.
I want, therefore, to say thank you today to the men and women who day in and day out carry on their daily life in difficult and dangerous circumstances. By just getting on with the job, they are getting the better of those who want to harm our way of life. Let us think of them this Christmas, wherever they are in the world, and pray that their resolution remains undiminished. It is they and their kind who, by resisting the bully and the tyrant, ensure that we live in the sort of world in which we can celebrate this season safely with our families.
British troops in the Gulf have been celebrating Christmas as normally as they can. But the festivities were carefully planned so as not to offend Saudi Muslims. The forces remain on alert as the threat of war draws nearer.
Squadron leader Paul Brown was up at dawn, preparing to spend much of his Christmas above the Kuwaiti border. An experienced pilot, each mission brings with it the stress of possible combat. It was a routine patrol, but there was nothing routine at the base a few minutes later.
Get into that, quickly.
This was no practice, as news was flashed to the airbase that the Iraqis had launched Scud missiles. The RAF detachment went on immediate alert, putting on their protective gear and ordered to take shelter in a nearby bunker.
Take shelter.
It was a false alert, but taken seriously. Out in the desert, officers guarded the perimeters as soldiers relaxed. The Royal Artillery found time this morning for a carol service in a local quarry, though designed not to offend the Muslim authorities. The men of the 40th Field Regiment were asked to remember Saddam Hussein in their prayers. Robert Moore, ITN, Saudi Arabia.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Robert Runcie, says war in the Gulf should be a last resort. In his last Christmas sermon at Canterbury as Archbishop, he spoke out against the glamorisation of war and violence on television.
Mass entertainment can pander to this cult of violence, bringing fighting and murder into our living rooms as a spectacle to be seen from our armchairs, and distancing violence from the pain, remorse, and grief which inevitably follow it.
In his Christmas message, the Pope urged world leaders to realise that a war in the Gulf would be an adventure with no return. After the address, he read out Christmas greetings in 53 languages.
May the light that came into the world this blessed day shine in your hearts and in your homes always.
In the Soviet Union, President Gorbachev has won backing from his parliament for sweeping new powers. The Congress of People's Deputies voted to create a new cabinet under his direct control. Well, that's the news so far this Christmas Day. We're back with a full bulletin at 11:15, but from all of us at ITN, do enjoy the evening.
Good evening. Well, I hope Santa Claus was a lot kinder to you today than the weather's been. A lot of heavy rain, stormy weather too. And it looks as though tomorrow, unfortunately, the bad news is going to be a repeat performance. The good news is, though, we can announce the winner of the TV Times Painter Weather Picture Competition. That was Miss Lucy Couchman from Willsborough in Ashford in Kent. And I think that's wonderful. I wish we had weather like that today. It would be an awful lot easier for my job anyway today. But as we said, some nasty weather to come tomorrow. It's all due to a deep area of low pressure. By about lunchtime tomorrow, we expect that to be sitting to the north of Scotland with gales and severe gales in many places and winds perhaps touching storm force during the day. With a low like that, as you would expect, a lot of rain, much of it very heavy. You might get the odd hour down in the southeast on the skateboards early on in the day, but it won't last very long. As we go through the afternoon, somewhat brighter weather spreading from the west, but with the brighter weather, some very heavy showers, and those showers perhaps even wintry on the hills. Temperatures, well, 7 to 11 degrees Celsius, not too bad. That's up to 54 degrees Fahrenheit. But please do remember those very strong winds and take a great deal of care. That's it from me for the moment. I'll leave you with a look at tomorrow's summary.
Here in the Anglia region, temperatures tonight will fall to around 1 degree Celsius, low enough for a touch of ground frost and some icy patches. Tomorrow, winds will again be strong or gale force at times. Temperatures will be up to 9 degrees Celsius. So tonight, clear periods and a touch of ground frost with some icy patches. Tomorrow will be another wet and windy day.